The air in Capitol Heights, Maryland, carried a scent, a stench really, that whispered secrets of the unspeakable. What if the smell of death was the only clue left behind? In the quiet corners of a seemingly normal home, where life's routines unfolded with mundane predictability, an odor began to seep through the cracks. An odor that would lead to the grim discovery of a hidden tomb, right in the heart of Maryland. This is not just any story. This is the story of Alexis Schuler, a young mother whose life was abruptly cut short, and Devonte Gray, the man now behind bars, accused of her murder. Imagine, just for a moment, the gravity of a crime so dark it shakes the very foundation of community trust. The smell that beckoned the police to that house wasn't just an indication of decay. It was a harbinger of the horror that awaited inside. In the corridors of this narrative, we tread carefully, stepping into the lives shattered by violence, into the hearts of those left to mourn, and into the chilling reality of a crime that would force us all to confront the darkest aspects of human nature. This is the tale of love turned lethal, where the line between affection and annihilation blurred into oblivion. Here, in Capitol Heights, Maryland, a story unfolded that would leave everyone questioning the safety of their own homes, the sanctity of their relationships, and the depth of human despair. Join us as we unravel the layers of this tragedy, where every breath taken inside that house carried the weight of an unspeakable secret, a secret now laid bare for all to see. In the quiet of a Maryland suburb, where the daily hustle usually masks the undercurrents of life, something was amiss. Neighbors, perhaps out of concern or curiosity, noted a peculiar smell emanating from a house on the block. It was a scent that didn't belong to the usual fare of suburban life. It was the stench of decay, the kind that seeps into your consciousness and refuses to leave. The police arrived, summoned by a simple welfare check request, but they were unprepared for what awaited them. They knocked, called out, but the silence that answered was thick with foreboding. With each step inside, the smell grew more overwhelming, guiding them like an unseen hand to the source. In the basement, where shadows seemed to hold their breath, they found her, or rather, what was left of her. Alexis Schuler, a name now etched in the annals of tragedy, was concealed in a makeshift tomb. The term might sound almost benign, but the reality was far from it. This wasn't merely hiding. It was an intricate act of obfuscation. The room was altered, walls perhaps moved, or floors tampered with to create a hidden space where death could lie in silence. The effort to conceal was meticulous, a testament to a mind that knew the gravity of its actions, a mind that had planned, perhaps even rehearsed, the act of making a person vanish from the world. The officers, seasoned as they might have been, were met with a scene that defied simple explanation. Here, in this subterranean chamber, Alexis's remains were not just hidden. They were entombed in a space built with the intention of secrecy, of permanence. The air was heavy with the weight of this discovery, with the silent screams of justice yet to be served. What drove someone to go to such lengths? What kind of desperation, anger, or perhaps fear led to this? These questions hung in the air, as palpable as the stench that had led to this point. The crime scene wasn't just a place. It was a narrative of human darkness, of a love that turned lethal, of a life snuffed out and hidden away, not from the world, but from retribution. As the investigators moved, documenting, collecting evidence, each piece they touched seemed to cry out for answers. This wasn't just about finding a body. It was about uncovering the truth behind a facade of normalcy, behind the closed doors of a home where love once lived, now replaced by the cold embrace of death. Through this discovery, we begin to see the layers of deceit, the careful planning, the chilling intent. Here, in the heart of Maryland, a story unfolded that would not just shock, but would compel us to look deeper into the human psyche, into the abyss where love and hate can become indistinguishable. The investigation into Alexis Schuler's death was nothing short of exhaustive. The police, now armed with the grim reality of what lay beneath the surface, embarked on a mission not just for justice, but for understanding the depths of human malice. Every corner of the house was scrutinized, every piece of evidence collected with the precision of those who knew the burden of proof lay in the details. Forensics teams descended, their tools and techniques turning the crime scene into a puzzle to be solved. They swabbed for DNA, analyzed the construction materials used to create the makeshift tomb, looking for any trace of Alexis's last moments. The smell that had beckoned them here was now a clue, a silent witness to the crime. They searched for blood, for remnants of struggle, for anything that could speak when the walls of this house had kept silent. The neighborhood was canvassed, each resident potentially holding a piece of the puzzle. Did anyone hear anything? See anything strange? The answers came in bits, painting a picture of a couple whose relationship was known to have its storms. Yet, no one could have predicted the tempest that would lead to such an end. Then came the arrest of Devonte Gray, the man whose home harbored this secret. The police moved with urgency, the weight of their discovery pressing upon them. Gray, initially perhaps believing his secret was safe, was now under the harsh light of suspicion. The evidence, both physical and circumstantial, began to weave a narrative that pointed directly at him. In custody, the interrogation room became the arena where truth would be coaxed from silence. Hours of questioning, the psychological dance between law enforcement and suspect, led to a moment that would define the case. Gray's confession. Not coerced, they said, but given under the shadow of overwhelming evidence. He confessed to the murder of Alexis Schuler, his words a confession that would echo through the legal system. But confessions, as any seasoned investigator knows, are not the end. They are often just the beginning. They open doors to more questions. Was it truly voluntary? What drove him to this confession? Was there regret, or was it a cold admission of a calculated act? The legal implications were immediate and far-reaching. A confession can be a double-edged sword, a clear path to conviction, or a labyrinth of legal challenges if the methods leading to it are questioned. Here, the prosecution would need to establish that this confession was not just the word of a man cornered, but a genuine admission of guilt. Yet, even with a confession, the case was far from closed. The police continued their work, piecing together the timeline, the motives, the moments leading up to the murder. They sought to understand not just how it happened, but why. What in the fabric of this relationship unraveled to such a horrific conclusion? In this investigation, we see the relentless pursuit of truth by those sworn to protect, the painstaking work that often goes unseen, the human effort to bring closure to a family left in the wake of such a tragedy. It's a reminder that behind every headline, there's a story of loss, of justice sought, of lives forever changed by the choices made in the dark. Alexis Schuler was more than just a name in a police report. She was a vibrant soul, a mother, a friend, a daughter. She was the heartbeat of a family that now pulses with a void where her love once thrived. To understand the depth of this tragedy, we must see her not through the lens of her end, but through the life she lived. At 29, Alexis was in the prime of her life, navigating the joys and challenges of motherhood with grace. She was a mother to 3 children, each one a testament to her capacity for love. One of these children was shared with Devonte Gray, the man now accused of taking her life, adding layers of complexity and sorrow to this story. Her days were filled with the laughter of her kids, the mundane yet precious tasks of everyday life, and dreams for the future. Friends describe her as someone with a warm smile, quick to laugh, and with an unwavering commitment to her children. She had aspirations, perhaps of furthering her education, or finding a career that would allow her to provide even more for her family. But those dreams were cut short in the most brutal way imaginable. The impact on her family is profound, a wound that will never fully heal. Her children, now without the physical presence of their mother, are left to navigate a world without her guidance, her hugs, her voice. The shared child with Gray faces an even more complicated path, caught between grief for a mother and the reality of a father accused of her murder. The ripple effects of her loss extend beyond her immediate family. Her mother, who last saw her alive, lives with the haunting memory of their final moments together. The last "I love you" whispered between them. Friends and community members, who knew her not just as a victim, but as a person, are left to grapple with the fragility of life, the unpredictability of human relationships. In the silence left by Alexis's absence, there's a collective mourning, a shared sense of loss for someone who touched many lives. Her story is not just one of tragedy, but of love, of the light she brought into the world, now extinguished. We remember Alexis not for how she died, but for how she lived, for the love she spread, for the future she envisioned for her children. Her legacy is one of warmth, of laughter, of the fierce love of a mother. And in this narrative of darkness, we hold on to the light that was her life, a reminder of what has been lost, a beacon for those who seek justice and peace in her memory. Devonte Gray now faces the severe charge of first-degree murder, which implies not just an act, but a deliberate plan to kill. This accusation, among others, paints a picture of a man who, according to the law, not only took a life, but attempted to erase all traces of it. In addition to murder, Gray is charged with tampering with evidence, reflecting the lengths he allegedly went to hide Alexis's remains. There's also the charge of obstruction of justice, highlighting the attempt to thwart the investigation. Each accusation adds weight to the legal battle ahead. The pretrial phase is already underway, with motions that will shape the trial's direction. There's discussion about mental health evaluations, critical for understanding whether this was an act of madness or malice. Gray's defense team is under immense pressure to challenge these charges. They'll examine the circumstances of the confession, questioning its voluntariness, looking for any signs of coercion or manipulation. They'll delve into the police investigation, seeking any procedural errors or rights violations. On the other side, the prosecution is building their case, with the confession as a key element. They'll present forensic evidence, detailing the construction of the hidden space where Alexis was found, DNA traces, and the timeline leading to her death. Witnesses will likely testify, offering insights into the couple's relationship, any known conflicts, and the events leading up to the tragedy. Currently, the legal proceedings are in a state of preparation, with no quick resolution in sight. Each side is gearing up for a trial that will hinge on proving intent, understanding human behavior, and dissecting every piece of evidence. This case, with its complex legal issues, is more than just a courtroom drama. It's a quest for truth, a pursuit of justice for Alexis's family, and a somber reminder of the consequences when love turns deadly. As we await further developments, we're reminded that behind each legal argument and piece of evidence lies the profound loss of a life, the hope for retribution, and the chilling reality of what can transpire in the shadows of human relationships. In the aftermath of such a harrowing tale, the pursuit of justice for Alexis Schuler becomes not just a legal obligation, but a moral imperative. We seek not only to punish, but to understand, to remember not the crime, but the person whose life was stolen. Alexis was more than the tragedy that befell her. She was a mother, a friend, a woman with dreams, and a future abruptly ended. This case, like so many in the annals of true crime, reminds us of the fragility of life, the potential for darkness within human relationships, and the relentless need for justice. It's a narrative that doesn't end with a verdict, but continues in the hearts of those who loved her, in the community that mourns her, in the legal system that seeks to right this wrong. As this story unfolds, it's crucial we stay informed, engaged with the legal processes that will determine Devonte Gray's fate. We can follow updates here on our channel, where we'll continue to report on any developments, ensuring Alexis's story is not forgotten amidst the clamor of daily news. But there's more you can do. Talk about this case, share it, help keep the conversation alive about domestic violence, about the signs we might miss, about the need for vigilance and support for those in danger. Engage with us. Share your thoughts, your questions, your insights in the comments below. And remember, every story like Alexis's has lessons, has warnings, has calls to action. We must honor her memory, not just with words, but with action. Supporting victims, advocating for change, and never allowing these stories to fade into obscurity. Thank you for joining us on this somber journey through one of Maryland's darkest tales. If you found this episode compelling, if it stirred something within you, then like, comment, share, and subscribe. Together, we keep these stories alive, ensuring that through our vigilance and our voices, justice might one day prevail, and the memory of those like Alexis Schuler endure. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and remember, in every shadow cast by crime, there's a light of truth waiting to be revealed.